stop. Before you put away those sweater knits, watch this video. I'm Vanessa with Ellie and Mac, and today we are going to take a one pattern, 5 hacks, and make 5 shirts to elevate your summer wardrobe. Honestly, trying to figure out what to sew this summer is so hard. There is all this on the internet of telling you what not to wear. And then if you could decipher what's on the runway, it is hard to tell. So in this video, I actually looked at window shopping and I tried to decide what I really liked that was in stores and what I could actually make at home. And what I loved was those puff sleeves with the bands on the bottom. I saw so many of those in the beautiful sweater knits, and I thought this could be such a money saver as well as a time saver. First of all, I don't need to buy new fabric. And secondly, sewing the same pattern over and over again does cut down on time. You can even batch sew this if you like. And doing 5 different hacks is a way to give individuality to each single piece. So this is perfect for your summer wardrobe. So what did we do? First of all, I took the Felicity pattern. Now this pattern, I get so many compliments. These bishop sleeves in the winter is just beautiful and romantic. And I often forget that there's a short sleeve option. So I'm really excited to take this pattern that gets so many compliments off during the winter into summer. Now there is a little changes with what's in the stores now. They're a little looser at the waist. So I did take this out an inch and I sewed a 1 size above what I normally would sew. And then I also, for my first top, added this very fun applique that you see here. So let me show you how to make these hats and how to add an applique with this first top. I love the shape of this Felicity, but for this hack, we're going to just change this up a little bit. With the sweater knit, you want it just a little bit looser around that waist. So we're just going to take our quilting square and just set it 1 inch in from the waist and then just grade it in from there. Now I'm doing the higher scoop neck on all of these, and I'm just going to be cutting this out like normal, just adding a little bit at the waist. And then this is the applique that I have, and I think it's going to be perfect. I like the beige on beige. And so I'm just going to set it there and make sure it's going to work with that neckline. And then I'm going to also do the exact same with the back as I did with the front, just taking that inch at the waist and then cutting it like normal. So normally I do wear a smaller size than the one that I'm cutting, but again, I want to just have it a little bit looser on my body. It's still going to be fitted, but just a little looser. Now here we are going to be doing a gather on the sleeves, and so I actually went back and I chalked in the back so I knew where I needed to gather from. And then on this first one, because this knit fabric is a little bit thinner, I actually went for the elbow puff because I thought it was beautiful. Now here's my little hack with all neck bands. I always cut them to be 2 inches. If you're somebody who struggles with neck bands, giving yourself a little bit more width can make sure that it goes on perfectly. And with these sweater tops, I've been noticing a little bit wider of a neck band to begin with. Now here's how things get a little tricky with the applique. You just want to pin it on, but as you can see, one of my flowers got a little stretched out. So I'm going to try to pin that on so it looks as even as possible. A way to know where to place your applique is to fold it and then you can iron and see where the center is. I folded it and then I was able to just pin it right where the center line. Now once you have, you want to make sure you have quite a few pins in here because we're going to take it over to the free motion. Now with my free motion foot on, I actually still have a zigzag stitch. This applique doesn't have any stretch to it, but if I do the zigzag stitch, it will help have a little stretch in it with the loose knit of the applique. Now it's not going to be super stretchy, but it does work. It still fits over my head because we're not taking the applique all the way to the shoulder seams. Now on this top, I'm going to show you a little bit more. So this is what the applique looks like. We just did around the edges. We didn't go all the way through every little piece of it. And then we're going to take the back. There's a back seam that I've already sewn up, and that's just a sway back adjustment. And I love when tops have this. So we're going to fold our fabric in half right sides out, and then we're going to fold over the other piece. So right sides are together, and then you can unfold it. And then here I have the clips already on my neckband in a quarter. And so you're just going to bring together your top and you're going to clip in first the back and the front and then clip in the sides. The shoulder seams is not the equal sides. If you try to do that, you're going to be off about 2 inches. So if you put the center back and the center front together, and then you can clip where the side seams are, and you can see how perfect the neckband is. And I honestly, having the 2 inches helps when you're stretching. Sometimes it rolls. So I just finished up the side seams. And then here are my gathers. As you can see, my gathers are very tight together. This fabric gathers really well. So I actually gathered it with a 3 millimeter width. And then I did not adjust my tension, but just pulled my bobbin thread to get the perfect gathers. Sometimes I find that I like my gathers closer together than the 5 millimeter. Now it's time to gather around the bottom of my shirt. And as you can see, again, these are nice and tight gathers. I just think they look beautiful. I just love having those little elegant tight gathers instead of having the tucks that can happen with a lot longer stitch length. And as you can see, this is what the top turned out. Now, when I tried it on, this top can be a little long, and during the summer, I usually don't tuck in my shirts as much, so I decided to cut 2 inches off the bottom and then I rolled hemmed them. And here I'm wearing some high-waisted pants, so I did tuck it in, but it did help having a little shorter. So my side waist is 8 inches, but I just love how this turned out. It's just absolutely beautiful. Just that little added detail of an applique can change a shirt so much. It's amazing. You can just take a beige fabric and make it that much nicer. For my next top, it's this really beautiful white knit, and I actually have an inspo pick from Anthropologie that I really liked. Now, instead of doing the gathers around the sleeves, because this fabric is a little thicker, I thought that maybe doing a pleat wouldn't be so thick trying to add that band on. So let me show you how to do a pleated sleeve with knit fabric and have this adorable top. This fabric, I only have 1 yard of it. I bought it during the winter and it was a little pricier of a fabric. So I really couldn't do this top with it being a winter. So being able to use it in the summer in this way is perfect. And it looks just like my inspiration. And I am literally saving about $60 here. So this is the pleat that we're looking at and how to do it. So first we need to measure how big our band is. So I'm going to take my band and I'm going to measure it to the side of my sleeve. And then once I have it measured, I can see where it is. I'm just going to hold it here and then take it straight to my sewing machine. And I'm just basting up that little line of how far the band came. And so the band's folded on half and then I have it. Now I'm going to put the center of that pleat together and then I'm going to baste it together. So you just open up the pleat and then the center goes to your stitch line and then you can baste it all together. Now, when you're basting it, you want to make sure that the inside is folded over and then you have the pleat on the outside. And then you can take your band and line up the seams and then come all the way around. And once you sew them on, you can see that adorable little pleat in the sleeve. So this is just another way to add a little detail and to deal with that thick fabric. Now, along the shoulders, it's not too much gather, so I can easily do a tighter gather here and then I can serge it on and you can see what it looks like right here. And it does give that cute little puff with those adorable little pleats, and it goes so perfect with these linen pants. It's going to be nice and breezy, but it just looks beautiful. I just love those little sleeves. White in summer, I just think is perfect. It doesn't get too hot, and so having a little thicker fabric should still keep you cool, especially with this one being a little more opened. For my next top, there's this fabric that I just love. It's this sweater knit that's just so cozy and soft that I really do want to wear it year round. Now, I love the beautiful flutter sleeve. I just think that it looks so pretty. And with this top, you can absolutely do a fluttered sleeve. Now, I know a lot of you who have small shoulders love my small shoulder tip, and this one is one of my favorites. If you're getting gapping, especially because we sized up, if you're getting gapping right here, just dipping down the back will help bring that top up and back. And so this is a tip that you can use on any top if you have smaller shoulders, is just dip it a little bit in the back. Let me show you all the details. I've seriously bought this fabric 3 times. So first I'm going to take my rotary cutter and I'm going to cut down 2 inches. And this way I can easily grade from where I normally cut into how much lower I want the back neck. I have my fabric right sides together and it's mirroring. And so no matter what that looks like, both sides are going to be exactly the same. Now I'm doing the same as I did before with I'm taking out the waist 1 inches and then I'm going to just take off 1 inch off of this fabric. It can sometimes shorten a little bit, so I want to not take off as much. So this is perfect where you can decide how much you want to take off each shirt, and it kind of becomes a hack in and of itself. So once we have the back cut, we're going to move on to the neckband. So I'm actually going to cut 2 inches on the deepest dip neckband, and I'm also adding about a 1/2 inch to this neckband just so I can make sure it's going to stretch properly because we're dipping it in the back a little bit more than the lowest neckband dips in the front. And then once I have my neckband sewed together, then I can clip it on like I did originally. And so you can see how it comes down in that back as well as the front. I love this. It's just really nice for when you have those smaller shoulders, and how do you stop that gaping, which is the biggest problem. Now I actually use my presser foot to help guide me with my neck bands. And so I'm using that metal bar, and I'm probably about 1 millimeter out from that metal gray bar on my presser foot. And that's how I keep my neck bands so even, is looking at the left side instead of the right side. Once I have my neckband on, I'm just going to add in again one of those tightly gathered sleeves, and then I can just roll hem the edge of the sleeve, and this will give me a finished detail without showing any of the serge, because you will see the serge with a flutter sleeve. It's not going to be held tightly, and so I really like to roll hem here. And once you get done roll hemming, you can see how lovely this top looks. I love how these sleeves are a little bit longer, and this soft fabric is just perfect. And you can see how nicely it's gathered around my shoulders. Look at it up close, just absolutely perfect. Skipping the band and going for a flutter is a completely different top. Now, up next, I wanted to have a little fun. And I bought this polka dot fabric because I thought it'd be bringing a little bit of fun to those gloomy winter months. But of course, I didn't get time to sew it. So I'm going to take it into summer. And I think polka dot is just perfect for spring. But that's not the only hack here. I know some of you guys really love your sergers. And so instead of hemming the bottom of this top, we're going to actually add a band. And just by adding a band makes this pattern look completely different. Let me show you how. I've prepared this polka dot top just like I have the others. Now I'm going to take 3 inches off the bottom of this top. And this is going to be so I can add the band. Now, just like the back, I'm going to cut exactly like I did on the front, and I'm going to make sure that I add that inch along the waistband, and then I'm going to be cutting the 3 inches off the bottom. So here I'm making my bands, but I'm going to kind of guess at this point. I know I want my bands to be 5 inches wide, and I'm just trying to decide on the length. So here I have the same length as what my bands at 3 inches up is going to be. And then when I get my shirt made, to this point, I can see how much I need to cut off the bands in order to have them stretch on. So here you can see it's lining up, and I don't want it lined up. So I've already serged together one side, and now I'm going to be cutting it so I have about a 90% stretch on the rest of my band. So I actually just cut it here with my scissors and then I serged it together, and that took off another 1/2 inch with the serger. And then I can line up the side seams of my band with the side seams of my top and just take it to the serger and serge it on like I would with a neckband or with armbands. So at the serger, you can see this fabric is really rolly, and it's actually really nice to band when you have fabric that rolls because sometimes it starts to ripple as well. So this is a great way to handle fabric that is sometimes problematic. I love how this band holds my top right where I want it. It gives it a little extra detail, and it's just a really nice finish. Isn't that so amazing? One quick band and you're ready to go. Up next, I am still with the playful fabric, and I had just a little bit of this fabric left. It's an animal print, but I didn't have enough to do with the beautiful sleeves. So what I did here is a sleeveless top. Because I love the fit of this on my body, I thought a sleeveless would be perfect. Instead of doing a tank top that's sometimes hard to wear bras with, this you can wear whatever you normally wear, and it looks so adorable. I also did some slits on the side to give it a little more breathability. Let me show you how. I'm going to be cutting this top just like I cut the others, and then I'm going to be measuring my arm side. So my front is at 9 inches long, and then my back is at 10 inches long. So I know that it's 19 inches in total, but I need to have this have a little stretch so it holds down the bands. So I'm going to be cutting along here, and I'm going to be making 2-inch bands at 17 inches long. So it's 19 inches in total. I do think I took off 1 inch to make sure that the stretch was going to be nice on my arm side, but you can kind of decide on how much stretch you need here. And then here I'm cutting the neckband again at 2 inches instead of the 1 3/4 inches. So you can see I'm stretching on the armband here to make sure it's going to fit perfectly. Now I've serged up the sides of this top. I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine. I'm actually going to sew it with a zigzag stitch, and then I can, with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then I can mark it 3 inches from the bottom. And so this is so where I know where to stop sewing. So at my sewing machine, you see here that we're sewing it down at a 1/2 inch seam allowance. But because I've sized up on this top already and I've taken a little bit out of the waist, this is going to be more fitted than the other tops. But there's a reason for it, because I want to have that cute little split seams on the bottom. So you're just going to sew it together with your zigzag stitch until you get to the chalk mark. And then you can take it over to your ironing board and you can iron it down flat. And then I just sew this at 3/8 of an inch. I go down one side, and then you bring both seams together and you can sew across, and then you can sew down the other side. I have done this hack so many times, but I love it. I think it looks so nice. It's just a cute extra detail. And then we're going to add on those armbands. So I have treated this armband just like it was a neckband, and I've already folded it and serged it together, and then we're just going to clip it right sides together around the arm side. And it has a little stretch to it because we cut it shorter than we did the actual length of 19 inches. And then you're just going to take it over to your serger and you're going to cut it just like it was a neckband. And what's perfect is that this is going to line up because I cut my neckbands at 2 inches and my armband. So it's going to look like it's a very intentional detail. And what do you think of my sleeveless playful top? I think this is perfect, and I love that little opening. It's perfect to dress up or to dress down. I can see so many outfits to wear this with. That top was so much fun. Actually, all these tops have been so fun. I'm so excited to incorporate them into my summer wardrobe. I hope there's some hacks that you can take from this video and add on to any t-shirt pattern that you have or top pattern. I just really love having a knitted top for summer. If there's any hacks that you absolutely loved, make sure you put that in the comments. And me and Jess is going to be getting ready to do another chat video. And if you have any suggestions for us with topics that you would like us to discuss, put that here as well. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're not getting all of our videos, you can click that little bell and it will help remind you when we have a new one. Thank you again for watching. We appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful day. Happy sewing, and I'll catch you next time.